Imagine being laughed at for your drawings your whole life, only for those same drawings to one day come to life and turn an entire city upside down. The story begins in a small town in Tennessee, where a young girl named Amber is riding the school bus while drawing in her notebook. She spends most of her time creating strange and scary creatures that look like something out of a nightmare. While she is busy drawing, one of her classmates, Bowman, suddenly grabs the notebook from her hands. He wants to make fun of her, but the moment he sees the drawing, his smile disappears. The creature in the picture looks so creepy that it actually scares him. Feeling uncomfortable, Bowman quickly backs away from Amber. A little later, Amber's mother, Taylor, is called to the school to meet with Principal Land. The principal wants to talk about a recent drawing Amber made. As he looks at the picture, even he seems surprised by how dark and disturbing it is. After discussing it with Taylor, Principal Land decides to speak with Amber directly. During their conversation, Amber reveals something shocking. She explains that the person being attacked in the drawing is Bowman. She even admits that she wanted to hurt him because of the way he treated her. Instead of getting angry, Principal Land is surprised by how much anger the young girl is carrying inside. However, he also believes that drawing is helping her release those feelings instead of acting on them in real life. To keep an eye on her emotional state, the principal gives Amber a brand new notebook. He tells her that whenever she feels upset, angry, or frustrated, she should put those feelings into her drawings. Meanwhile, far away from town, a boy named Jack is spending his afternoon in the middle of a large forest. He is relaxing on a fallen tree trunk while playing Minecraft on his phone. Everything seems normal until he receives a message from his father, asking him to come home for dinner. Jack gets up and starts walking back, but suddenly he loses his balance and tumbles down a steep hill. During the fall, his phone slips out of his hand and lands directly in a nearby lake. Annoyed, Jack climbs down and pulls the phone out of the water. As expected, the device appears completely ruined. The screen is damaged, and he assumes it is no longer usable. But just as he is about to leave, something strange catches his attention. When he looks at the phone again, he is completely confused. The device suddenly looks brand new, as if it had never fallen into the water at all. There isn't a single scratch on it. Jack has no idea how this is possible, but he decides not to think too much about it and heads home. That evening, he sits down with his father, Taylor, and his younger sister, Amber, to eat pizza together. During dinner, Amber suddenly asks a very unusual question. She wonders if she and Jack should be called orphans since their mother passed away some time ago. The question immediately upsets Taylor. He explains that even though their mother is gone, they still have a father who loves and cares for them every day. As long as he is there, they are not alone. But Jack decides to tease his sister. Trying to get under her skin, he jokingly starts calling her a motherless orphan. Amber's face instantly fills with anger. Unable to control herself, she slams her hand against Jack's plate, sending it crashing onto the floor. The room falls silent. The moment Amber realizes what she has done, she feels embarrassed and runs straight to her bedroom. As Taylor bends down to clean the mess, he tells Jack to stop bothering his sister and leave her alone. Annoyed by the whole situation, Jack simply walks away and heads to his room. Now alone, Taylor takes a moment to himself. Raising 2 children on his own has been incredibly difficult. As he cleans up, he can't help thinking about his wife and how different life was when she was still with them. Meanwhile, Jack goes to take a shower. While washing his hands, he suddenly notices something strange. The cuts and bruises he got after falling down the hill are completely gone. He looks closer in disbelief. Only yesterday, his hands were covered with injuries. Now, every single mark has disappeared without a trace. The discovery leaves him wondering if the lake water had something to do with it. The next morning, Jack becomes obsessed with finding answers. He spends his time searching online, trying to learn if there could be some kind of special water that heals his wounds. At the same time, Amber is on her way to school, but the moment she gets on the bus, panic takes over. She suddenly remembers that she left her new notebook at home. The notebook is extremely important to her because it contains all of her private drawings. Desperate to get it back, she quickly calls her father and begs him to bring it to school. However, Taylor thinks she is worrying too much. He tells her that everything will be fine and that she can manage one day without it. Amber becomes nervous. In a serious voice, she makes her father promise that he will not look at any of her drawings while she is away at school. Even though Taylor finds her behavior a little suspicious, he agrees and promises to leave the notebook alone. Meanwhile, on the school bus, Jack notices that his sister is upset about not having her notebook. Trying to help, he offers her one of his own notebooks so she can use it for the day, but Amber refuses. Jack quickly loses his patience. Frustrated by her attitude, he throws the notebook onto her lap and tells her to stop acting so difficult. That only makes Amber even angrier. Without thinking, she grabs the notebook and throws it right out of the bus window. Back at home, Taylor is busy getting the house ready for potential buyers. Since his wife's death, the family has decided to sell the house and move on. As he cleans the rooms, he starts packing away some of his children's belongings so the house will look better during the visits. While organizing Amber's room, he comes across her notebook. The cover has been decorated by Amber herself, and even the outside looks creepy enough to make anyone uncomfortable. Just then, Taylor's sister Liz surprises him. She reminds him to remove the family photos from the walls before the buyers arrive. According to her, the personal pictures might affect their decision. Although he doesn't like the idea, Taylor takes the photos down and carries them to his van. While Liz shows the house to the visitors, Taylor waits outside in the vehicle. As the minutes pass, he starts feeling uncomfortable. Some stuffed animals inside the van seem to be staring at him, making him feel strangely uneasy. Trying to ignore the feeling, he moves the toys aside. That is when he notices Amber's notebook again. For a moment, he remembers the promise he made to his daughter. He tells himself not to open it, but before he can put it away, he accidentally spills coffee all over the notebook. Taylor immediately panics. Knowing how important the notebook is to Amber, he rushes inside the house to clean it before she finds out. He tries wiping it down, but nothing seems to work. Running out of options, he opens a suitcase filled with his late wife's belongings, hoping to find something useful. Looking through her things brings back a flood of memories, but he pushes those feelings aside and focuses on saving the notebook. He grabs a hairdryer and starts drying the wet pages. Then disaster strikes. The hot dryer accidentally burns his leg, causing him to lose his grip. The notebook falls to the floor and opens completely. All of Amber's drawings are suddenly spread out in front of him. As Taylor looks at them, shock fills his face. The images are far darker and more disturbing than he ever imagined. Later that day, Jack and Amber return home from school. Not long after arriving, Taylor learns that Amber has gotten into trouble once again. This time she covered her arms with drawings of creepy tentacles. At this point, Taylor is exhausted. Feeling that the drawings are becoming a serious problem, he tells Amber to hand over all of her art supplies. Amber is furious. She storms off to her room and quickly notices that her notebook is dirty. It doesn't take long for her to figure out what happened. Realizing that her father broke his promise and looking at her drawings, she becomes even more upset. Angrily, she leaves all of her crayons and drawing supplies outside for him. A short time later, Taylor asks Amber to come with him to the van, while Liz shows the house to another potential buyer. As they walk outside, he notices something surprising. Even after losing her supplies, Amber is still drawing. Taylor immediately takes away the crayons she is using. When he looks at the picture she was working on, he feels a chill run down his spine. The drawing shows him being surrounded and eaten by hundreds of spiders. A few minutes later, while they sit together in the van, Taylor tries to apologize for breaking his promise. But Amber isn't ready to forgive him. She accuses him of never paying attention to her drawings and never caring about what she creates. Those words hit Taylor hard. Wanting to prove her wrong, he suddenly interrupts the house showing and goes to get a large storage box. Inside the box are years' worth of Amber's drawings. Taylor reveals that he kept every single one of them. He has been saving her artwork all this time because he truly cares about her. For the first time that day, Amber's anger begins to fade. Realizing that her father really does care about her, she climbs into the front seat beside him. Then she tells him something important. She says she is willing to show him the truth about her drawings. But before she does, she makes him promise not to panic. Taylor agrees. Amber then opens her notebook and begins showing him page after page of her artwork. The drawings are unlike anything he expected. They are filled with creepy monsters, strange creatures, and terrifying scenes. Many of them show people being chased, attacked, or killed in horrible ways. The more pages Taylor sees, the more worried he becomes. Then Amber shows him something completely different. Among all the monsters is a drawing of her mother's tattoo. The picture instantly touches Taylor's heart. He realizes that despite everything she has been through, Amber still remembers her mother and misses her deeply. Trying to encourage her, he tells Amber that she is incredibly talented and creative. Wanting to help his daughter deal with her emotions in a healthier way, Taylor comes up with an idea. He takes one of Amber's older drawings and places it inside the notebook. Then he explains that life is all about balance. There has to be good along with the bad. He hopes that adding happier drawings might help her focus on positive things instead of only dark and scary ideas. Unfortunately, Amber doesn't seem interested in his advice. Instead, she grabs her pencil and starts changing the picture. Within seconds, the normal character turns into another frightening monster. Later that evening, Jack returns home after spending more time near the mysterious lake in the forest. That's when a surprising secret is revealed. The broken dinner plate Amber smashed the night before has somehow been repaired. Jack secretly used water from the lake on it, and the plate became whole again. Now he is convinced that the lake really has magical powers. Curious to learn more, he waits until late at night for everyone to fall asleep. Then he quietly sneaks out of the house and heads back to the lake. What Jack doesn't know is that Amber is still awake. When she sees her brother leaving the house in the middle of the night, she becomes suspicious and decides to follow him. Of course, she brings her notebook along. A short time later, Amber catches up with Jack near the lake. To her surprise, she sees him holding a wooden box. It is the box containing their mother's ashes. Confused and worried, Amber calls out to him. The sudden voice startles Jack. He quickly tries to act normal and pretends he wasn't about to do anything important. But Amber doesn't believe him. She reaches for the box, and the two siblings start fighting over it. The struggle quickly gets out of control. At one point, Amber nearly falls into the lake. Thankfully, Jack grabs her just in time and pulls her back to safety. But during the chaos, something even worse happens. Amber's notebook slips from her hands and falls directly into the water. Amber immediately panics. The notebook means everything to her. Ignoring her fear, Jack grabs a long tree branch and manages to pull it back out of the lake. Once he recovers it, he tells Amber they need to leave right away. But before they can go, something strange happens. The spot where the notebook touched the water starts bubbling. The lake begins moving as if something is rising from deep below the surface. Neither of them sticks around to find out what it is. They rush home as fast as possible. As they arrive, they hear a strange noise coming from somewhere in the forest. Then, Amber opens her notebook and discovers something shocking. Every single drawing is gone. The pages are completely blank. The monsters, creatures, and sketches have all disappeared. Seeing this, Jack immediately tells Amber not to tell anyone what happened. The next morning, a woman named Maggie arrives for work at a small convenience store near a gas station. Her co-worker, Rick, is already there. The moment they step inside, they realize something is wrong. The entire store is a mess. Shelves have been knocked over. Products are scattered everywhere, and it looks like something tore through the building during the night. At first, they thought the place had been robbed. They quickly reach for the phone to call the police. But before they can make the call, a terrifying creature suddenly appears behind them. The sight is so horrifying that both Maggie and Rick immediately run for their lives. Back at home, Taylor wakes Jack and Amber up for another school day. While checking on Amber, he notices something strange. Her bedroom window looks damaged, almost as if something tried to get inside during the night. Amber admits that she was so scared by the noises outside that she slept in her closet. This instantly worries Taylor. At the same time, Amber begins questioning Jack about what happened at the lake. Jack quietly tells her that he will explain everything once they are on the school bus. Unfortunately for them, Taylor overhears the conversation. Before the kids leave, he demands to know what they are hiding. Although he doesn't want to, Jack finally tells his father the truth. He explains everything about the magical lake. He talks about the healing water, the repaired objects, and his belief that Amber's drawings may have somehow come to life. Taylor stares at him in disbelief. To him, the story sounds completely ridiculous. Thinking Jack is making everything up, he orders him to get on the bus and says they can talk again when he is ready to tell the truth. A little later, Taylor stays behind at the house. While cleaning Amber's window and waiting for his morning coffee, he starts hearing strange noises coming from the forest. Before he can investigate, Liz arrives. As she walks inside, Taylor notices that his coffee mug has mysteriously disappeared. He asks Liz if she touched the coffee maker, but she ignores the question. Instead, she reminds him that another buyer is coming soon and asks him to move a box of family pictures into the van. As Taylor goes through the box, he suddenly finds the dinner plate that Amber broke during the argument. The plate should still be shattered, but instead it looks perfectly repaired. Meanwhile, on the school bus, the driver, Thompson, notices something unusual ahead. A pickup truck has been abandoned in the middle of the road. Even stranger, bright blue paint is splattered all around it. Confused, Thompson stops the bus at a safe distance and prepares to contact the authorities. Before she can do that, Bowman suddenly starts honking the bus horn as a joke. The loud noise instantly annoys Thompson, and she yells at him to stop, but it is already too late. The sound attracts something hidden deep inside the nearby cornfield. A massive creature begins moving toward them. The moment Amber sees it, her heart sinks. She recognizes it immediately. It is the same monster she had drawn and later modified in her notebook. Realizing everyone is in serious danger, Thompson tells all the students to hold on. She slams her foot on the gas pedal and speeds away. Unfortunately, the giant creature starts chasing them. Each step it takes shakes the ground like an earthquake. The road begins trembling violently beneath the bus. Within seconds, the driver loses control. The bus crashes and slides into the middle of the cornfield. Sometime later, the students slowly regain consciousness. The crash has left everyone shaken. They quickly notice that Thompson is unconscious and unable to help them. Jack immediately takes charge. He tells everyone they need to find a way out because the main bus door is jammed shut. Then things get even worse. The giant creature appears right behind the bus. Terrified, the students duck between the seats and try not to make a sound. As Amber watches the monster, she suddenly realizes something important. The creature had fallen asleep earlier because of the music playing from the abandoned truck. That means music might be the key to stopping it again. Just then, the monster starts smashing against the emergency exit on top of the bus. Seeing no other option, Jack rushes to grab his phone. But before he can do anything, one of the creature's tentacles bursts into the bus and wraps around him. The monster begins pulling him toward the opening. Everyone watches in horror. Luckily, before Jack can be dragged away, the creature suddenly falls asleep again. That's when the students discover that one of their classmates, Den, has been carrying an iPod the entire time. The music from the device is what saved them. Now that the monster is asleep, the students quickly climb through the emergency exit on the roof. As soon as they get outside, Bowman selfishly runs away without waiting for anyone else. Then disaster strikes again. The song playing on the iPod changes. The creature's eyes open. It wakes up immediately. Panic spreads through the group. The students start running down the road as fast as they can, while the giant monster chases them. At the same time, back at home, Taylor notices that the school has been trying to contact him. He reaches for his phone, but suddenly realizes it is missing. Worried that something may have happened to Amber and Jack, he rushes inside the house. Interrupting another house showing, he asks Liz to call his number. As the phone rings, Taylor hears the vibration coming from a closet. When he opens it, he notices strange blue paint stains inside. After finding his phone, he also discovers his missing coffee mug hidden behind several boxes. The whole situation feels very strange. Then something catches his eye. A weird object is stuck to the wall behind the mug. The thing looks unnatural and disturbing. Without wasting any time, Taylor grabs it and smashes it using the repaired dinner plate. Just as he finishes, Liz receives a call from the school. Meanwhile, the students finally reach the school building. While catching their breath, Amber admits something terrifying. She tells Jack that she remembers drawing the blue monster destroying a bus. Jack immediately realizes how serious the situation is. If that monster came from her notebook, there could be many more creatures out there. He quickly asks Amber who else she drew. As she thinks about it, another memory suddenly comes back to her. Bowman. At that very moment, Bowman is lost somewhere in the forest. While trying to find his way out, he comes across a small, strange creature. At first, it didn't seem dangerous. Then it suddenly starts screaming. Its scream sounds exactly like a loud alarm siren. The noise echoes through the forest. A few seconds later, something enormous responds to the sound. A giant eyeless monster appears. The creature opens its huge mouth and tries to swallow Bowman whole. Bowman barely manages to escape. Just before the monster can catch him, Jack and Amber arrive and pull him away. Knowing the small creature will keep attracting danger, Jack quickly gets rid of it near the riverbank. But when he stands up, he realizes they have a much bigger problem. The giant eyeless monster is now standing right in front of them. There is nowhere to run. Thinking fast, Amber throws a rock far into the distance. The sound distracts the creature and causes it to move away from them. Meanwhile, Taylor and Liz arrive at the site of the bus crash. Thankfully, Thompson has already been rescued. But the situation is far from over. Only 2 students have been found. Jack, Amber, and Bowman are still missing. As soon as Taylor hears this, panic takes over. Liz suggests that maybe the kids are trying to make their way home. Hoping that is true, Taylor immediately gets back into the van and drives toward the house. But on the way, something suddenly runs across the road. The van hits it. Taylor and Liz quickly jump out to check what happened. As they look under the bumper, they discover strange blue paint splattered across the front of the vehicle. At first, they think they hit some kind of animal, but then something unexpected appears. Standing right in front of them is the strange cat from the cover of Amber's notebook. Before they can react, the cat sprays a cloud of blue paint directly into their faces. The creature doesn't seem interested in hurting them, but it quickly reveals its true form. What looked like a normal cat suddenly transforms into a giant monster. With incredible strength, it tosses the van aside like it weighs nothing and then disappears into the distance. Completely terrified, Taylor and Liz decide to continue on foot. As they make their way through the area, they suddenly spot another massive creature standing on top of several electrical towers. The sight is enough to send them running in fear. Meanwhile, Jack, Amber, and Bowman finally arrive back at the house. In all the chaos, they don't even notice that one of the windows has been completely smashed by a monster. When Amber realizes that her father isn't home, she starts to panic. Jack, however, notices her drawing supplies and suddenly gets an idea. At the same time, deep in the forest near the magical lake, a hooded creature quietly approaches the water. The strange being pulls out a notebook and begins drawing. As it continues sketching, more and more chaos starts spreading across the city. Back at the house, Bowman watches emergency news reports showing monsters appearing everywhere. Then Jack calls everyone over to see something important. Using Amber's ideas, he has drawn a special weapon. According to him, this weapon could be powerful enough to destroy every monster they are facing. For the first time, the group finally has a plan. The three kids quickly gather homemade armor and fill water guns with the magical lake water. They are ready to fight back. Just before leaving, Amber says she needs to use the bathroom. Unfortunately, Bowman needs to go too. Since the main bathroom is occupied, he decides to look for another one inside the house. That turns out to be a huge mistake. When Bowman opens the door to Taylor's bedroom, he freezes in horror. The entire room is covered with spiders. Thousands of them crawl across the walls, floor, and furniture. Panicked, he slams the door shut. But some of the spiders manage to jump onto his clothes and body. Seeing this, Jack immediately rushes over and starts removing them. A few moments later, Amber comes out of the bathroom. When she sees the panic around her, she accidentally opens the bedroom door. Instantly, the rest of the spiders pour out into the house. The nightmare begins. Jack grabs his water gun and starts fighting the creatures. Meanwhile, Bowman completely loses his nerve and runs outside. Amber is so scared that she jumps into the bathtub. Thinking quickly, she struggles to turn on the water. Finally, the faucet starts running. The magical water begins destroying the spiders one by one. At the same time, Bowman appears outside the bathroom window with a garden hose. Together, the kids spray water throughout the house and wipe out the remaining spiders. After a long and exhausting battle, the house is finally safe again. Not long afterward, Taylor and Liz return home. The moment they step inside, they are shocked. The entire house looks like a disaster zone. Furniture is damaged, water is everywhere, and the place is completely trashed. Even worse, the children are nowhere to be found. Then Taylor hears a tapping sound coming from Amber's bedroom window. When he looks outside, he sees a butterfly. But this isn't an ordinary butterfly. It is another one of Amber's drawings brought to life. The butterfly seems to be guiding them somewhere. With no better option, Taylor and Liz decide to follow it into the forest. Meanwhile, tensions are rising among the kids. As they travel through the woods, Jack finally loses his patience. He turns to Amber and blames her for everything that has happened. According to him, none of this would be happening if she had never drawn those monsters. The accusation hurts Amber deeply. She doesn't even know what to say. Upset and frustrated, Jack walks ahead alone. As he moves deeper into the forest, he eventually discovers a strange area filled with stolen objects. It appears that the spider creatures have been collecting things from all over the city and bringing them here. Then Jack notices something even stranger. Sitting quietly near the lake is a mysterious hooded creature. As he watches, he realizes something shocking. This monster is drawing new creatures and bringing them to life with its own sketches. In other words, it is creating an army of monsters. Seeing an opportunity, Jack quickly grabs the drawing of the special weapon they plan to use. But before he can escape, he senses that something is watching him. The sudden fear causes him to drop the paper. A second later, the hooded creature finds the drawing and destroys it. Just like that, their only weapon is gone. Soon, the group reunites. That's when Amber reveals an important secret. The hooded creature is actually the very first monster she ever drew. Because it was her first creation, she believes it is much stronger and more powerful than all the others. After discussing the situation, the three kids reach a new conclusion. If they want to survive, they will have to create another weapon. But to do that, they need drawing tools. The only problem is that the pens they need are inside the hooded monster's bag. Someone has to distract it. Without much choice, Bowman volunteers. He runs forward and tries to pull the creature's attention away from the others. For a moment, it works. But then the hooded monster lets out a terrifying roar. The sound echoes through the entire forest. Within seconds, dozens of monsters begin rushing toward Bowman from every direction. Realizing he is now the main target, Bowman sprints through the woods as fast as he can, desperately searching for a place to hide. Meanwhile, Jack tells Amber to hurry and finish the new drawing while he goes after Bowman. During the chase, Bowman manages to find an old cabin hidden in the forest. He quickly runs inside and locks himself away from the monsters. For a moment, it seems like he is safe. Back near the lake, Amber grabs the monster's backpack and tries to get the drawing tools she needs. But before she can do anything, the hooded creature suddenly attacks her. Just when things look hopeless, Jack arrives. In his hands is a spray can and a stove lighter. Together, they create a homemade flamethrower. Jack fires a burst of flames toward the creature, forcing it to back away. At the same time, the other monsters hear their creator's screams and begin returning to help it. Unfortunately, Bowman accidentally gets scared by a spider inside the cabin and makes noise. The monsters instantly know where he is. Within moments, they surround him. Just as they are about to attack, help finally arrives. Taylor and Liz suddenly appear and jump into the fight. Armed with nothing more than a shovel and a lawnmower, they start attacking the creatures. The magical butterfly guides them through the forest and helps them find the kids. Back at the lake, Amber desperately tries to draw a new weapon. The problem is that none of the pens seem to work. Then disaster strikes again. Jack loses his footing and falls to the ground. The crayon monster immediately jumps on top of him. Because its head is melting, it sprays burning drops onto Jack's face. The attack forces him to drop his weapon. The monster is now only seconds away from finishing him off. But Amber refuses to let that happen. She suddenly steps forward and unleashes the tentacles she once drew on her own arms. The powerful tentacles burst out and attack the creature. For a moment, Amber gains the upper hand. She even manages to knock the monster backward and pin one of its arms to the ground. But the creature quickly recovers and grabs her. Even while trapped, Amber refuses to show fear. She looks directly at the monster and tells it that she is not afraid of her own creation. Just as the creature is about to attack her, Jack charges forward. Using a magical sword, he delivers a powerful strike. The monster is finally defeated. A few seconds later, Bowman arrives carrying the same magical weapon. Amber is completely confused. She asks Jack where he got the sword. That's when Jack reveals something surprising. The sword was actually created from one of Amber's old drawings from years ago. A small piece of that drawing had somehow survived and become real. At that moment, Taylor finally reaches them. He is stunned when he sees Amber using giant tentacles to destroy monsters with ease. Then something incredible happens. The box containing all of Amber's old drawings suddenly falls from the sky. Amber looks up and says that something amazing is about to happen. Seconds later, a massive cloud of magical dust spreads across the entire area. At the same time, glowing stars begin rising out of the lake. Jack watches in awe as hundreds of lights shoot into the sky. Nearby, Liz continues fighting the monsters. Then she receives unexpected help. Many of Amber's old happy drawings suddenly come to life. Friendly creatures, brave heroes, and magical beings begin appearing all across the city. Instead of attacking people, they start fighting the evil monsters. The magical explosion from the lake spreads these creations everywhere. For the first time, good creatures and bad creatures are battling each other. The balance Taylor talked about earlier is finally becoming real. While the battle continues, Jack reaches into his backpack and takes out the box containing his mother's ashes. Before he can say anything, Taylor walks over to him. After everything they have survived together, Taylor tries to comfort his son. As he gets closer, he notices that the box has been damaged during the fight. The sight reminds everyone how much they still miss their mother. Without saying much, Taylor wraps his arms around both Jack and Amber. He hugs them tightly and tells them that everything is going to be okay. For the first time in a long while, the family finally feels whole again. Sometime later, life begins returning to normal. The monsters are gone, the city is safe, and the family is moving forward together. On another school morning, Jack and Amber say goodbye to their father and board the school bus. This time, Bowman joins them as a real friend. As the bus drives away, Amber opens a brand new art notebook. With a smile on her face, she begins drawing again. But instead of monsters, she starts drawing a beautiful butterfly inspired by her mother. And this time, her imagination brings hope instead of fear. That is where the movie comes to an end.